So hi everyone, we might just start because we are actually recording this webinar. So if people are late, they can watch the link on YouTube. And so because we are recording this webinar, if you do speak or ask a question, you will become part of the webinar recording. So just be aware of that. If you don't feel comfortable being recorded, that's fine. You can just put any questions that you might have in the chat box. Thank you everyone for joining us for the Farmer Information Session for the AgCAREERSTART program. We are super excited about this program and are really looking forward to entering the second year of the pilot program. We are currently 6 months into our first year and have participants working on farms all over Australia in every state and territory except the ACT, working across a variety of different industries from cattle stations to dairy farms to broadacre cropping to vertical horticultural farms in Sydney CBD, which is really cool. So far the feedback has been really great from both our farmers and participants. It's been overwhelmingly positive, which is so great to hear. Today we are covering everything that our farmers need to know about the program and how you can sign up and get involved. But firstly, we'll go to the next slide and meet the team. So my name is Steph and I am the Community Engagement Officer for the AgCAREERSTART program. My role involves dealing directly with the farmers and the participants on the program, and I am generally the first point of contact for both if there are any questions or concerns. I am joined here today by Chloe Dutchke, who is the Training and Career Development Officer. If you join the program, you will also deal with Chloe, who handles all of the participant training, but she will talk about that a little bit later on. In the centre of the photo is our project manager, Kayla Evans, who is unfortunately not able to join us tonight, but Kayla handles all of the operational management of the program. So what is AgCAREERSTART? AgCAREERSTART is a gap year program for young Australians who want to try a career in farming. AgCAREERSTART is funded by the Australian government and rolled out by the National Farmers Federation. It's called a gap year, but essentially it is a direct pathway into agriculture for those who are aged 25 or under who want to work in the industry, but who might not have any previous agricultural experience. The program connects these participants to farmers who provide a 10 to 12 month paid role on their farm and who have the capacity to train and support the participants with the aim of creating a long-term connection to the agricultural sector. We want to strongly impress on our farmers that this program it's not designed to address seasonal or short-term labour shortages on your farm. It's about providing an enriching experience for a young person as a way to solidify their interest in and their commitment to staying in the agricultural industry long term. In addition to a paid placement, AgCAREERSTART also provides funding for the participants to undertake training opportunities and to attend industry events. In this way, the program encourages participants to build their skills, gain qualifications and a network within the industry, with the aim being to support long-term skilled employment in the Australian agricultural sector. So the participants, a bit about them. So anyone can apply to the program as long as they have working rights for Australia and are between the ages of 17 and 25 years old. This means, or the age range means, that for many participants, this will be their first serious job and first time moving out of home. For some of the participants, they will be moving a significant distance from home. So what we're really looking for are farmers who can support them at what is a major life transition. In this, we just ask farmers to be flexible and understanding and think about how they can support a young person on farm. The criteria being 17 to 25 years of age also means that some participants will be minors, and we do have a minor protocol. If you are matched with a minor, we can go through this in more detail. But if you don't want to be matched with a minor, or you can't have a minor on your farm for whatever the reason, you can let us know during the application process and we can match you with someone else. The range of experience levels from participants does vary. We have participants who have never had any farming or agricultural experience, to those who might have actually come from a family farming background and who want to spend a year on another farm to get more experience. If you do have a specific need for someone with experience, you can let us know in your application and we can try and facilitate this. However, as previously mentioned, the aim of this program is to give those who might not have much experience a foot in the door. So yeah, just think about that when applying. In terms of this year's participants, when they applied, they were asked to self-identify their own experience. And as you can see on the slide, the average age was, the average experience level that they self-reported was 5 out of 10. In practice, we had a fairly even split of those with previous experience compared to those with no experience. However, what has been really rewarding for our team especially has been seeing those with absolutely zero agricultural experience now thriving on farms all around Australia. We have also had really positive feedback from the farmers who have taken on participants with no experience, as they have found the participants to be very eager to learn and just generally grateful for the experience and the opportunity that they've been afforded by the farmer. In terms of what else on the slide, screen for motivation, we'll talk a little bit more about that on the next couple of slides, but all participants will also complete an online induction before ever setting foot on farm. This is so that they are aware of some of the key safety risks on farm and can be thinking about them before they arrive, even if they've got no prior farming background. So how does AgCAREERSTART work? This slide just provides an overview of the application process and the matching process and how it sort of all fits in. So applications are currently open at the moment for our participants. They have a window to apply for the 2023 intake, and that started off in June and is concluding on the 18th of October. For farmers, applications won't close necessarily, and you will be able to apply all year. However, to get the best chance of a match and to get the best possible participant for your farm, we definitely encourage early applications, and applications for farmers are now open on our website, but we'll talk about that a little bit further on. So when applications have closed, we will commence the matching process. I'm not going to talk about that now because we've got a whole new slide on it next. But after you have, if you are matched with someone, or after a match has been made, you will then proceed to an interview with the participant. If the interview is successful, you would then offer the participant a position on your farm and draw up an employment contract for the participant and agree on a start date. Before starting on farm, the participant will complete an online farm safety training module that covers basic farm concepts, and Chloe will talk more about this later. Following this, your participant will arrive on farm between January and March 2023. The start date is negotiable between yourself as the farmer and the participant, but we are really wanting all participants on farm by the end of March 2023. However, if you need flexibility around this, or that you can't make that happen and there's a valid reason as to why, we're flexible, and you just need to let us know and we can work around it. And as the year progresses, your participant will be invited to attend industry networking events, have the opportunity to upskill themselves via formal training opportunities. And again, we'll touch more on that later. So the matching process. What happens is when applications close, we start commencing the screening of both our farmers and our participants. So in terms of farmers, when all farmers who apply to the program go through what we call a suitability screening session. And that involves just sitting down with a member of the AgCAREERSTART team, most likely myself, and just going over why you want to be a part of the program, what kind of induction processes you have on farm, how you keep records, how you ensure employees are paid correctly, what your OH&S practices are, all of that kind of stuff. Basically just making sure that you have the policies and procedures in place to support a new employee on your farm. And if you've had employees before, this will be pretty stock standard. In terms of our participants, when they apply, we basically screen them for suitability based on the criteria for that they're allowed to be. So for example, if they are outside of the 17 to 25-year-old range, they're disqualified from being a part of the program. Alternatively, if they haven't put any effort into their application or it's incomplete, we might disqualify them as well. So those that get through, we then commence what we call the matching process. So when a participant applies to the program, they answer a series of questions around where they're willing to move. So they have choices from staying as close as possible to where they're currently based, to moving far away, to wanting to go remote above all else. They're also given a list of industries that they can preference, and they're able to preference which ones they want to go into and which ones they really don't want to go into. They also provide a statement of intent, and that can either be a 500-word statement or a 5-minute video about why they want to be a part of the program and their commitment to a career in ag long term. They provide a written reference, and this is from a referee that they have asked who is not related, so a previous employer, a school teacher, someone like that, resume. On the farmer side of things, so when a farmer applies online, they're asked a series of questions as well, and these are around the types of jobs that you can offer someone on your farm, who works on your farm, the industry that you operate in, photos of what the farm looks like, the accommodation that you provide, if you do provide that, all of those kind of things. It's really your opportunity to sell your farm and why it would be a great place to work if you are a young Australian. So based on what the farmer has provided and what the participant has provided, we go through the matching framework, which is an objective set of criteria that we sort of match using. So generally, we base it on the geography. So for example, if you have a farmer who has beef cattle near Wagga and you have a participant who wants to stay as close as possible to home and they're based in Wagga and they want to go to a beef farm, that's sort of how that works. And then we start looking at sort of the subjective criteria, like if a participant has an interest in going to an organic farm, for example, and we can make that happen. In an ideal world, farmers are provided with 1 to 2 potential matches out of this process. They're then given a very short time to look at those applications and make a decision on who they would like to proceed with. So if you're a farmer, you get 2 potential applicants, you get 24 hours to pick A or B. You pick A, that's great. Then what happens is you proceed to what we call an interview. Well, it is an interview. So you get to meet your participant. Sometimes that can be in person. We've had instances this year where a farm wasn't too far away from where the participant was living and they've been able to go out on farm and meet the farmer, which has been fantastic. But for many others, it will be an online interview. And this is really the time to ask any questions, to negotiate pay, start dates, all those things. If the interview is successful, you would then offer them employment on your farm. So, and that relationship then goes into your own hands. You would just draw up an employment contract as you would usually do for any other employee on your farm, negotiate start dates, rates of pay, and anything else that is applicable.
So once you have a participant and you've got a start date, once you've got the participant coming onto your farm, we start to onboard them. So this is done in a process through AgCAREERSTART. So we notify the participant and we send them a bunch of information, including the farm safety online training that Steph was mentioned earlier. In that FarmSafe online induction tool, it covers points including what is work health and safety and what are inductions. It covers how to spot a safety hazard and what to do about that, how to report a safety hazard, and also covers about the appropriate personal protective equipment as well. So once the participant has completed the online FarmSafe induction, they're then cleared to go onto farm. So this needs to be completed prior to them arriving on farm. As you go through the process of onboarding your participant, we ask you to send through your employment contract to the participant. They then sign it and you provide a signed contract to us to keep for our records. This is also a great opportunity for farmers to send through any policies and procedures prior to the participant arriving on farm, and also a staff handbook or any information you feel might be applicable to that participant starting on your farm. In the first 2 weeks of onboarding, so once the participant has arrived on farm, in the first 2 weeks, most participants obviously will be finding their feet, depending on the level of experience they have. as Steph mentioned, some will be coming from potentially a background in agriculture or may have studied it. Others will be coming fresh and won't have any knowledge at all. So we ask in that time that the farmers do an on-farm induction process with the participants. This doesn't replace any other on-farm inductions you do on your farm. It just adds to what you already have in place. AgCAREERSTART will send you, the farmer, the template for you to fill out, and then you just return it back to us. So when we're doing inductions, we want you to talk to who you're going to report to or who the participant will be reporting to, and especially if there's an owner-manager hierarchy. So if you are the owner of the property applying to the AgCAREERSTART program, you are our point of contact for the AgCAREERSTART participant. If you have a manager on that property as well, it still goes that it would be your hierarchy, how you manage on farm, but our point of contact is to you as the host farmer, as the owner, if you have applied. So just making sure that's clear to the AgCAREERSTART participant when you start and when they start. We hope that in the induction period, in that onboarding period, they're not thrown completely into the deep end, but that they're nurtured and cared for and made sure the appropriate inductions are done in that time. However, Steph and I are here to help as much as we can that any issues may come around for both you as the farmer and also our participants. So any questions that might arise, Steph and I are happy to help answer those. And then after the participant has completed the online induction form, and after you and the participant have completed the on-farm induction form, then farmers are eligible for a $2,000 farm safety incentive payment. And that just helps cover the costs of the onboarding period and is just an incentive to make sure the safety practices are in place. So Steph and I will now talk about the training and welfare that goes into the AgCAREERSTART program.
So one of the really important aspects of this program is the welfare and engagement focus for our participants. In my role as Community Engagement Officer, I'm in regular contact with the participants to check in and see how they're going. This isn't an investigative process by any means, but just as a way to see that they're enjoying their time on farm and provide them with an opportunity to self-report any feedback, questions or concerns that they might have. For example, this year on the program, we've had to deal with participants who have been feeling homesick, who might have a question that they feel too embarrassed to ask the farmer, all sorts of things. But the main purpose of the regular check-ins is really just to let the participants know that they are supported and have someone that they can turn to if need be. As part of my role, I also check in with the farmers to see how things are going from their end and give them that same opportunity to raise any questions or concerns that they might have. In terms of the engagement, all of our participants on the program receive funding to attend industry events and networking opportunities, which is something that's really unique about this program and super cool for them, I think. Participants can choose to attend conferences, field days, discussion days, whatever that might look like, and travel and accommodation to these events is funded by their industry budget. Just last week, 14 of our current participants on this year's program, who are pictured on the slide there, all travelled to Sydney to attend Innovation Generation, which is a conference held by grain growers for under 35-year-olds in the industry. So on that trip, they were able to meet each other in person for the first time, meet other young people in the industry, and generally learn about the grains industry in more detail. So in addition to those in-person events, we also have a very active private social media presence. So we're in groups such as Facebook and WhatsApp, where our participants can connect to each other and share photos, commentary of their experience on farm, ask their peers for any advice and share stories. So the aim being to foster engagement over their shared experiences and really create a community as part of the program.
So as Steph mentioned earlier, participants all have access to a training bursary and a significant training bursary at that. So it starts off by initiating a meeting with myself. And so that takes about 30 to 45 minutes. And in this time prior to the meeting, we complete a survey which builds on a basis of what training they might like to do. So for example, on this screen there, we've got some ideas of what participants can and might like to do. But basically the survey asks them, where are the areas of interest in agriculture? What are they looking at doing further on in their career, etc. And it really builds a basis for where we can lead these participants and do the training. We also ask our farmers to identify any training that might benefit their participant on farm, to either let their participant know or to get in contact with me as the Training and Career Development Officer. We really hope that things like chemical handling, first aid, etc. can be beneficial to your farm. And whilst we really want farmers' input on the training they'd like to see their participant do, we really want it to be participant-led and really for that participant to develop skills for their future in the ag industry. So as I mentioned, we have a meeting, so they book a time. So I send out a link, and it's a calendar link prior to them having the meeting. They pick a time between the 9 to 5 working hours. And we hope that farmers will be a bit flexible with this time so we can sit down. And this is also a good opportunity for myself and Steph to actually get to know the participants as well. So whilst at the meeting, we throw around a few ideas of what the participant like to do. And then from that meeting, I'll go away and develop a training plan for that participant. This training plan can also be shared with the farmer if the participant wishes. They may like to keep it confidential. So I go away and I then look into courses, workshop, conferences, training, anything that the participant has indicated they'd like to do. And I'll put together a training plan, as I mentioned. And from that, I'll send them through links, training, courses, websites, etc. that I find in the area to the participant pretty regularly. I'd just like to make it clear that training is not mandatory, and anything I send the participants doesn't mean that they have to do the training. It is an optional training. Not always are they going to be available working around a farming schedule, etc., to attend the training, but it's just an option for participants to know what's happening in their area. And we really want to encourage participants to come to you as the farmer to ask for the couple hours off, the day off, the week off to attend these training things as you would in a normal working situation when you need time off. We ask the participants, as I said, to discuss it with you as the farmer. It is up to you as the farmer to use your discretion to allow participants the time off. This will be a case-by-case basis for different farms, but we can help support you in that if you need some guidance as to what other farms are doing. But for example, for maybe potentially a week-long trip, that may be taken as annual leave, or if they've worked significant hours and have owed time in overtime, then that may be also used to cover that time. It is at the discretion of the farmer, and we ask you to be flexible, but also we understand that you need to also run a business and that participant is part of your business. As I said, Steph and I are more than happy to help facilitate some conversations there, and I think that's an important message to talk about in regards to the training and how you'll manage that in your onboarding phase as well. Asking those questions early and really setting a bar of what you expect of the participant in regards to training. But we'd really like your input in regards to training. As a national program, we have many participants all over Australia, and it's quite hard to keep up with what's happening across all areas. So I really relish the input of farmers to let me know what's happening in their local area and in their community as to what we can get our participants into as well. So towards the end of the placement, training will continue all year round. So it will just keep rolling on through the year and various things will come up as you're aware. But towards the end of the 10 to 12 month placement, we'll touch base with yourselves as the farmers and then again with the participants about what everyone's thinking towards the end of the year. So there's around 3 possibilities, and these are not set in stone. They're just some options that are there. So potentially as a host farmer, you could continue ongoing employment with your participant that would be the most ideal situation, that we found long-term employment for you on your farm and the participant is happy to stay on that farm. You then fall outside the AgCAREERSTART program, but we are there to relish and support you as much as we can going forward from there. Secondly, you may choose to cease employment with your participant for various reasons. You might like to bring in new employment. Maybe you can't have them on for the following year, or the participant may be moving away to university or further study or to a new role. In that case, we would encourage you to reapply for the next intake, but obviously at your own discretion. And thirdly, we hope that potentially you have fostered a good relationship with your participant. They know the farm in the 10 to 12 months. And we really hope that potentially you might be able to offer them some casual employment, maybe after their uni holidays in seasonal busy times, etc. Obviously, all at the discretion of the farmer. For those that don't get future employment on the farms, this is my role to sit down with them and really talk about what they would like to get out of the following, what they would like to do with the next part of the year. We can update their resume and we can help look for suitable jobs, and we would ask for some, probably some references or some ideas to put down on that reference and the resume and cover letter. And then for any participants moving on, we would encourage each farmer, if you so wish, to write a reference letter for your participant that they can use in further employment, for further education, etc.
So hopefully that has provided a solid overview of what the program involves, and hopefully as a potential host farmer, you are excited to go and sign up for the program. So what do you need to be for a farmer? What are the obligations? So this is probably the nitty gritty, but first and foremost, we're looking for farmers who can provide a safe and enriching experience for participants. It goes without saying that we need farms to have appropriate workplace practices in place and to abide to the highest safety standards and cultural standards on farm. As mentioned earlier, we will be screening farmers based on the above criteria. In summary, our participants need to be safe and their welfare needs to be held to the highest standard that it can be at all times, and that's a process that we will be checking in while they're on farm. The experience that you should offer should also be enriching. It's not just about turning up to work every day and getting paid. So please think about how you can provide a rewarding experience for your participant that makes them want to stay in the industry long term. We get that not every day in agriculture can be fun and exciting, and there are mundane jobs, and that just goes with that's just agriculture. To use my own experience coming from a dairy farm, I guess what we're saying is this is not a program to put someone on a farm where they're just going to put cups on cows for 7 days straight. It's really trying to embed them into the industry and show them like a whole farm kind of experience. So have a think about what those roles might look like on your farm, but it's not just for someone who just to do a specific job or to fill a specific seat on your farm or role on your farm. What else have we got here? So be able to offer full-time paid employment for a period of 10 to 12 months. So you will need to be able to offer that paid full-time employment. The employment relationship in the program is between yourself as the farmer and the participant, and we have no interaction in that contract itself, but we do require a copy of a signed employment contract when that's all been done. It is a requirement of the program that our participants are paid in accordance with the applicable award rate, and this will be based on the role that you're offering on your farm, the experience of the participant, and will be different for each farming business. But if you need any assistance with that, you can definitely get in touch during the application process or after the interview process, and we'll be happy to help out. In terms of full-time employment, we expect that our participants will be working the equivalent of full-time hours. So we know that all farms are different in terms of busy periods, and what full-time looks like can be very different on all farms. But some farms might have like a work on, work off system or a roster so that it would still equate to what we would consider full-time hours over the duration of the year. But we are flexible with what that actually looks like in practice. provide accommodation or assist in finding accommodation on farm. So providing accommodation isn't essential. You don't have to provide accommodation, but what we're asking is for our farmers to assist where they can with the participants finding accommodation. So if you've got someone moving to your farm from another state or territory, obviously they won't be able to attend rental inspections, and that's tough everywhere now. So you can get creative if you have, if you know someone who's got a house on a nearby farm or a room, or even, I don't know, we've got dongers this year, we've got someone in like a caravan kind of situation. As long as the participant has seen what you're offering and they've agreed to it, we're pretty happy with that, as long as they've got thorough photos and it's clean and decent. Offer flexibility to your participants so that they can undertake training and industry events. So as Chloe's mentioned, all of our participants have access to a training incentive budget that Chloe assists them to use. In addition to Chloe's support, we will look to you as the farmer to help them find opportunities to undertake that training while they're on their placement. And we hope that you'll be flexible with time off to allow this to happen. Again, all participants will have completed an on-farm induction by the time they arrive, and it's also your responsibility as the farmer to complete an on-farm induction with the participant when they arrive on farm. So while the participants are your employees, they are also in the care of the program, and therefore we have our own incident response management plan and need to be alerted in the case of an incident. What else am I talking about? So community, probably something we haven't really spoken about, but we're really big on the program. So we ask that you really introduce your participant to your community and industry interest groups outside of the farm. So this is a great way of providing that enriching experience that we have already spoken about. And as a program, we are really looking at how we can not just give these people work experience and a paid job, but how to really embed them in our regional communities so that they want to stay in agriculture, and hopefully they want to stay in your farm and regional communities for the long run.
So hopefully we've sold you on the program so far, but if you're looking at applying, Steph and I are here to help answer any questions. But as you're getting ready for your application, we just have a few things that we'd like you to put in there. So we really want about 250 words describing the position. So what does a typical day look like? What types of things will a participant be doing? And just keep in mind when we're talking about our agriculture lingo that some participants might not come from a farming background. So we need to use layman's terms, and potentially if we're mustering sheep, we might need to specify mustering sheep on two-wheel motorbike, mustering sheep on quad bike, etc. We want to know how many staff and the ages are there. Is it a very social farm? Are you just a small farming operation with just yourself or your family and maybe one other person, or will this participant be the only person? We, as Steph mentioned, want to know what can you offer in your local community? Do you have sporting groups, community groups? Is there a working dog group? Is there an arts group, etc., that the participant might be able to do outside of hours? And just things like how far are you from town or the largest town, you know, if they need to do food shopping, etc. And these are all things you can talk about in your interview as well. We also want to know about 150 words, why you want a participant, why your farm is a great place to work. We want you to be able to showcase your farm, so taking some pictures and of accommodation, landscapes, some of the jobs, the people that are on your farm. Ultimately, we just want you to sell your job, your farm, your lifestyle, and we really want to encourage you to encourage people into agriculture. So in any way you can put that in your pictures, in your role description, etc. We just want to reiterate that some participants do not come from that farming background, so we do need to speak their language a little bit and showcase what we really have to offer. So essentially sell your role that you can offer these participants, sell the lifestyle that they're walking into, and showcase your farm. We know a lot of farmers live on some beautiful landscapes, and we really want to show that and showcase that to our participants to solidify their love of agriculture and get you the best worker that you can.
It might be a good time to go to the question we have. So from Tim, have you found in the first year whether the participants are seeking jobs or a foot in the door? Is it a stepping stone, or do you think they're looking for a permanent job? Tim, that really varies. We have both. So this year we have participants on the program who you're actually going to see one later on. We've got a video in a few moments who has moved to a station role for a year before embarking on a university degree. We have another boy in the same boat, but we have other people who have joined the program really wanting this 10 to 12 month program to lead to full-time employment in the industry long term. So we've got a number of participants on the program this year who have expressed an interest to stay on the farm that they're at long term. We've even got one guy who moved from Sydney to the middle of nowhere in Western Australia, and he's actually convinced his entire family to sell their house, and they're all moving to Western Australia. So some of these participants are literally just loving their work, which is so great to see.
And
Probably
I think,
and
I think, going on from that, we've also had participants that have applied for other jobs, whether that be station jobs, farm jobs, and just haven't been able to get employment because they haven't had that on-farm experience. So for some of these participants, it really is that first foot in the door. They've been wanting to be in agriculture but haven't been given the chance. And for some of them, we really hope that they will now stay in agriculture. For some of them, they were dead set on one industry and maybe couldn't get into that industry because we didn't have enough farms in the area, or whatever it might be. And they've moved into another industry and are absolutely thriving in that industry. So for some, it is a stepping stone, getting that practical on-farm experience before they go off to university. For others, it has generally been they've looked for other roles, they've been knocked back, and this is the opportunity that's going to give them that experience to go further in the industry.
And probably a great segue into our next slide, which is just the next two slides are just looking at some of the demographics from this year's cohort. So as you can see, the gender split was slightly skewed in terms of males out on farm, but when we had our initial applications, the female application rates were a lot higher. So that's something that we're really going to push next year. Probably the other big thing here is the age. So this year's program, you can see that a lot of them come from that 19-year-old age bracket. So they've most likely just finished year 12 last year and they're going out and this is their first job. It's their first time living away from home. And we might go to the next slide, Chloe. And you can see we've got quite a good industry split, which is really exciting to see. But also I probably wanted to talk about the residence versus placement graph, and this graph doesn't really show it very well, but one of the concerns we had from farmers this year in the program was that they might have got matched with a participant, say they're in WA, they might have been matched with a participant who was from Sydney, and they had concerns. They didn't want to hire this person because they say, oh, it's only 10 to 12 months, I'll train them and then they're going to leave because they're not from my area. Really encourage farmers to try and see how it goes. If you've got a young motivated person who's willing to move over there or move to your area, because you never know what's going to happen, especially if they really do get involved in the local community, they make friends, they meet people, they grow their social network. We've actually seen quite a few participants, like the one I just spoke about, who moved from Sydney to WA. He's now convinced his family to move, which is pretty amazing. We also had a young participant move from Brisbane to a dairy farm in Victoria, and he has said that this has been one of the most positive experiences of his life, and he said he wants to stay on the farm for as long as the farmer will have him. So a lot of these participants are not just looking for a 10 to 12 month gap year, they're looking for that long-term industry engagement. They want a job that's, that they can stay with long-term.
So speaking some more about our participants that we've had this year. So this is Julian, and he's 20. And his original home was in Port Stephens in New South Wales. He's moved to a cotton farm in Griffith. And basically he really had an interest in looking at practical, like on-farm experiences before heading to university. So he's going to do agriculture innovation at Canberra University. And so He really specified he'd really like to use some ag tech in his workplace, and so his farm has been able to give him that opportunity. He's using it every day as much as he can. With his training grant that he received through AgCAREERSTART, he's been able to do chemical handling certificates and science communications as well. And he was one of our 14 participants that attended Innovation Generation last week. He's also lucky enough to be heading to Cotton Conference at the end of August. So he's really been able to use those training grants, those industry grants to immerse himself in agriculture. And whilst Julian won't be on farm next year and his farmer is devastated to be losing him, we're going to see him grow in the agriculture industry and utilise those skills that he's learned on farm in his agriculture technology degree. And obviously we'll hopefully use that later on in life as well, from the practical experiences. So there's just a few things he said about the program, that he's felt supported, that the host farmer has felt supported, and as I said, that he's going on to study. So our second participant is Lucy, who travelled from South Australia to the Northern Territory and had no prior experience in agriculture. She now works on a station that grows cotton, citrus, as well as running cattle. And she is also off to uni next year to study environmental science, and has been using her time at Tipperary Station to learn on-farm practices to support the environment that she's going to be learning about next year, so including weed control, pest control, and she'll also be attending the National Land Care Conference later in the year. So we'll hear from Lucy now about her experience.
Well, I've just arrived at Tipperary Station in the Northern Territory. I flew up from Adelaide with my dad, and I've just seen around the place, and super excited to get started. I'm hoping that my time here will kind of give me a bit of first-hand insight into living on the land, and I can use this knowledge that I learn here and apply it when I'm doing uni. Learning about the lemons and the cotton has just been so interesting. The food is amazing. So many people and so many different friendships that you can make. It's like an own little family here. Got a bit nervous when I clicked the application button. It's definitely nerve-wracking, but it's so worth it, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Go for it, 100%.
But I guess just to reiterate, especially for anyone who missed the start, applications for our farmers are open now via our website, which is just agcareerstart.com.au. Just Google AgCAREERSTART and it will come up. And we also have a lot of FAQs for our farmers and our participants. So hopefully, if you have any questions after, you can look on the website, or alternatively send us an email at agcareerstart@nff.org.au. That was going to be the final slide, but the internet's got other ideas today.
I think if we've not got any more questions, we might leave it there. Thank you all very much for your time tonight. I'm sorry that the internet has stuffed up at the end here and our video didn't work, but we appreciate you taking the time out. And as Steph said, please contact us via email or through the website, and there's many FAQs, but if we haven't answered them here tonight or on the website, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to support you where we can.